Hey, Shalom, Akim Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. And double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. And sincere Shalom to the hopeful elect that's out there listening, learning, and or teaching. Shalom. This is Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished. Right? Who is Edom? That's Esau Edom, the so-called white man. All right. We are impoverished. Right? When was the Edomites impoverished? During when the Roman Empire went down. Okay, these Edomites were impoverished from the time of Rome's fall until the Renaissance period. All right. It says, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness. So that's what we call them. That's why when we make these videos, we say Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is the wicked, the devil, right? The deceiver, right? Our enemies. Okay, along with these other nations who are also our enemies, but they are not the wicked. The wicked, that title belongs to these Edomites. It says, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. Let's get this word indignation. All right, what does the Lord having indignation mean?
Strong's H2194. Za'am.
All right, so
Za'am.
Zawam or Zayam. It means to denounce, to express indignation, to be indignant, to have indignation, to be indignant, to be angrily indignant, to be defiant, to be abhorrent. All right, to show anger. All right, and I hate when they use the word itself to define the word, but that just means we just need to get the regular definition then, Indignation, anger or annoyance provoked by what is perceived as unfair treatment. And did not Esau Edom, the so-called white man, deal unfairly with the Lord's people? Okay, we know that the Lord's chosen people are the Israelites, who today are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Okay, we've been scattered throughout the world, and here we are in America, the headquarters of these Edomites, right, or the chief city, as the Bible calls it. Okay, the chief city of the Edomites. This is the spearhead of this beast system. Okay, the beast system is NATO and the EU, right, which are all ruled by who? Edomites, so-called white people. Okay, what did America do, man? These Edomites enslaved the so-called African Americans, right? They stole the land from the Native American Indians, right? You had the Spanish conquest. The Spaniards are Edomites as well. And they destroyed the Hispanic tribes, man. Okay, so the Lord will be angry with you so-called white people forever for what you did. Okay, and there's no way around that. Okay, but it goes much deeper than that. It's what they continue to do to this day. All right, and the fact that, these Edomites, everything they do is wicked, man, and they hate the Lord. Pursuant to Psalms, the 83rd chapter, they have a pact with all these other nations to keep our people down. Okay, but this nation, these other nations are all wicked, but this nation, the Edomites, are the most wicked of them all. Okay, these are the ones that go back to Cain. Okay, you know how Cain killed righteous Abel. Okay, that's why the scripture says he was a murderer from the beginning, because that was the spirit of Esau back then in Cain. And then when Esau was supplanted by Jacob, Jacob took the superior blessing. You could read about this in the book of Genesis. I believe it might be 25, it might not be, so don't quote me on that. But it's in the book of Genesis. It talks about how Esau was angry with his brother because he took his blessing. And basically Esau said something along the lines of, well, when my father Isaac dies, I will kill my brother Jacob. As you can see, who killed their brother before Esau, right? Before Esau, you go back to Cain and Abel, right? Cain was Esau back then, and Abel was Jacob back then. You see, and Esau murdered Jacob back then. Then they came back in the reincarnation, and Esau had that same murderous spirit, man. You see? But yeah, man, the Lord has righteous anger against these wicked people forever. Okay? And we call them the wicked, like it says here, the border of wickedness. All right? This is Job chapter 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who rules the world right now? These so-called white people. Okay, so you can see the prophecies never miss. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. Who are the judges? Okay, you could read the book of Judges. Right? You could understand that the judges of the world to come are the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. Okay, so how did they cover our faces? Is you could look up online Jesus, that's not his real name. His real name is Yahushai. Right? But you could see him and the apostles and the Israelites who are the judges. Okay, and what are they painted as? They painted as so-called white people. So they covered our faces. You see? They covered our faces. If not, where and who is he? Right? If these people are not the wicked, who else would it possibly be? You see? And today, what I want to go into is something, I've mentioned before, but I'm going to be very careful with what I say and how I say it because, these type of things will get taken down if you speak about these buildings and what happened on 9/11. Okay. But, this thing was a giant psychological, operation. Okay. And these Edomites, these liars, okay, because these evil, wicked people, these so-called white people, the ones that stole our land, and they claim to be the Israelites today. That's right. Those so-called white people over there in Israel, okay, those are not the real Israelites. Okay. They are playing a giant lie on the world. Okay. Because like the scriptures say, they're liars, man. Okay. Let's get that. And I might have that. I might not. Let's get that. That's going to be in the book of John. This is John chapter 8 and verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil. Right? These Edomites. And the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. Right? That's that Cain and Abel, Jacob, and Esau. Right? So Esau is that murderer, right? With the spirit of Cain on him, okay? And abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. He's the father of lies. John 8:44. We're going to get it in the NIV because the NIV says it a little differently. It says, you belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of it, man. So it was nothing for these Edomite devils to fake this event and kill 3,000 people of their own. To them, that's just collateral damage. Okay, but why? They had an idea. Okay, they had a plan. Okay, to go over there to the other side of the world and, steal oil. Okay, and also, if we read here, how 9/11 radically expanded the power of U.S. government. We'll just read the first paragraph. 2 decades ago, the deadly T attacks on 9/11 changed nearly all aspects of American life. Culture shifted, imbued with heightened levels of fear. The U.S. launched costly, deadly wars. You see, just like before every war, there's always an excuse. There's always Somebody did something. Oh, America has to step in and be the police of the world, the police officers of the world, because these other countries, they doing the wrong thing. And so they go fight wars on the other side of the world that has nothing to do with them. You see? It says Congress passed sweeping legislation. The government profiled and watched its own citizens, ushering in a new era of mass surveillance. Boom. You see that? Mass surveillance. Okay, so they were able to kill multiple birds with one stone. The owner of those buildings, okay, his name starts with an L. You can look him up. I'm not going to say it. You know, he made $2 billion off of the insurance payout. Because why? Because 6 months prior, they put in some clauses for T attacks, right? And this guy did that on purpose so he can make some money off of it. Okay? Now, on top of that, you had, they wanted to go invade Iraq. They wanted to go to the Middle East and get oil. Okay, they say that Bush's family owned oil. Okay, things like that. Okay, you can go into your own rabbit holes, man. But today, I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove it to you that this thing was not real. Okay, and yeah, Salakia for the way I'm having to speak, but we have to be careful what we say. And I pray to the Lord this video doesn't get taken down because, these devils are very sensitive about this topic. That's why when you go on YouTube and you type anything in about 911, they've deleted millions upon millions of videos, man. All the videos I used to watch years ago, they're no longer on YouTube. The only thing you see on YouTube is, the official narrative. Okay? Because, these devils, they are forgers of lies, man. That's all they know how to do. All they know how to do is lie, man. Let's get that. Let's see. Job 13 and verse 4. But ye are forgers of lies. You are all physicians of no value, man. Forgers. Let's get that word, tawal, right?
Strong's H 2950. Tafal.
To smear, to plaster over, to stick glue, right? That's how they covered the faces of the judges, man. Because if you look in these different caves, the different images of the Lord were black, so-called black men, right? The apostles, the 12 apostles were all so-called black men, okay? But they smeared white paint or plaster over it in order to what? To make it look like white people, man. You see? But, speaking more about, this operation here, they forged a lie. It's just like when you forge a signature. Okay, this whole event was a giant forgery so that they could go start wars on the other side of the world, man. And like that article said, so they can increase mass surveillance and get you people ready for what? The chip? Okay, even way back then, they were making moves on this. Okay, showing you that these international banking families, they're not stupid, man. These Edomites at the top, they're very intelligent, man. They have the blessing of the Lord right now. Okay? Our blessing kicks in when Yahweh Shai returns, man. But these devils are in the height of their power. That's why they're so fucking proud, man. And the scriptures calls them proud, too. All right? Now, before we go into that, I'm going to prove it to you, man. Because I could go all day about how wicked Esau is. I could bring out infinite precepts, man. Okay? But what we're going to do, because I don't want to make the video too long, I'm going to read this. This is computer-generated imagery. Computer-generated imagery, CGI, is a specific technology or application of computer graphics for creating or improving images in art, printed media, simulators, videos, and video games. These images are either static, still images, or dynamic, moving images. CGI, and you could go into that on your own, but basically that's what happened, man. There was no air. How do I say it? All right, let's do this. I got an idea. Okay, go on BitChute when y'all finish this video and type that in. I'm not gonna say it. Just type it in. And you're going to see people say that they didn't, what they did see and what they did not see on that day. Okay? You see this word right here that I'm pointing at? That was not involved. Okay, there were none of those on that day. And I'm going to prove it. All right, we're going to prove it real quick. Go on YouTube and just type in what I type in. And what I want you to do is get it from a certain angle that was very, how do I say it? This was a very popular one that they showed on the news. Okay, this is the main video you saw on the news. So we're going to click on that one. And this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to mute it. Okay. And we're going to watch it frame by frame. Watch. So you see it's coming in. Now look at this. Pay attention to this building right here. This building is clearly further behind these two buildings. So you can understand this little brown building is further away than these two gigantic buildings. Okay, now watch. Did you see it? Let's go back. Let's go back. Look at the wing. Look at the wing. Let's see if I can get it. All right, look at the wing. See, it went behind that building, even though that building's further away. Doesn't make any sense. Why? Because this was a glitch for the computer-generated image. And I learned that from an Edomite on social media. He was making a short video about this and going into it. And, of course, his video had much better quality. You know, it's hard to find good quality. Let's see if I can boost the quality here. Let's get 720. Lord's will, that's a little better. Well, I guess it was a long time ago, so the cameras weren't that good quality. But let's watch it again. Look at that. Doesn't make any sense, right? Clearly, the vehicle is in front of that building, so how is it now behind it? You see? So this right there proves it very simply, man. Okay? And there's hundreds of other things and rabbit holes you people can go into, man. But yeah, for those of you out there saying we're crazy, whatever, okay, you're crazy, man, for not believing your own eyes. You're crazy. All right? And you know what? The Lord has blinded you. If you can't see these things that we see, man. We see it everywhere, man, not just in that one aspect or this one event. Okay, but it's just the spirit that's on us is not to trust this devil, man, because the scriptures tell you, all right, he's the wicked. The earth is given into his hand. All right, he plans these different events, man. Okay, this is Psalm 64:6. They search out iniquities. Okay, and let's actually see here. Here we go. We're going to start with verse 1. Hear my voice, O power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Who's that enemy? Esau, Edom, the wicked, right? Hide me from the secret counsel of the who? The wicked. From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. All right, so we know this whole chapter is about these Edomites. But more specifically, it's going into the elite, the international bankers, man. Psalm 64:6. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Right, so they put a lot of thought into this, into faking this event. And many other events, okay, like this guy that got shot in the you know, in his throat, Mr. CK. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. If y'all don't know who it is, well, I can't do anything about that because again, the algorithm's being very sensitive about him too. Okay, and these devils are pushing laws to silence people that are speaking out and saying the truth. Okay, especially they really want to shut down this truth, the 100% truth of the scriptures. Okay, but it continues. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded. And that arrow is going into the thermonuclear destruction of America. Okay, because for all these Edomites did, they're eventually gonna have to pay for their sins, man. And the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai did not come for them. The Lord Yahweh Shai came only for the nation of Israel. Okay, to save us from this flesh, to save us from death, to save us from being destroyed in that fire, and also to save us from what? From our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us, pursuing Luke chapter 1 verse 75 on down. Okay, the Lord is coming to save us from our enemies. So guess what? So these other nations who are our enemies, guess what? They're not going to get saved. Okay, and you Israelites, they can't understand why the so-called white man can't be saved. You need to pay attention to this video and others like it, man, because how these people going to do this. How is a nation, what type of a wicked ass nation would do this, man? Only here in America do they do bullshit like this, man. Only in these so-called white countries do they fucking make up these gigantic lies for the whole world to justify, these wars that they fight on the other side of the world that have nothing to do with them. All right, so why? So they could steal resources, so they could oppress people. And we're going to get that next. Okay, but that the Lord is gonna have to put an end to these Edomites, man, and that's that day of the day of doom spoken of in 2nd Esdras, man. All right, verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves; all that see them shall flee away. Right, their own tongue falling upon them is talking about these other Edomites exposing this shit. And like I said, man, this whole the thing I just showed you with that vehicle that glitched out. Okay, I learned that on social media, looking at this Edomite guy, explaining it. So their own tongue is falling upon them, like the scriptures say, all that see them shall flee away, right? These people out here are scared of these elites, man. You talk about them, people are too afraid to even talk about it. People are lying to themselves just because they don't want to believe the truth. The truth is scarier than a horror movie to these people out here, man. These people would rather just watch a game and drink a beer and forget about everything, right? But no, man, the Lord holds us to a higher standard, man. We have to be sober. We have to be in our right mind and understand, yeah, the world is fucked up, man. Because why? Because these fucking devils are ruling it. So what's the solution? Yahweh Shai returning to save us from this devil. And Yahweh Shai is coming back to fucking make war with all these nations, man. And Yahweh Shai is going to crown himself king of the world, man. Okay, this is the gospel. This is the good news that the Bible talks about. You see, but you've never heard it in this way because you've been hearing it from the so-called Christian church, which is nothing but a bunch of lies, really. And that's state controlled, and it's nothing but a bunch of goons making money off of simple-minded people. They can't figure it out. Those people don't know anything about the Bible. They don't know anything. I'm surprised these Christian pastors can even open their Bible to these scriptures. Because they really don't study, man. They really don't study like that. All right? But yeah, man, that's what I wanted to go into pretty much. The wickedness of these devils and exposing, their psyops, and how the Lord is basically going to destroy these Edomites, man. Oh yeah, I had one more. We're going to go into, let's see. We're going to go into Habakkuk chapter 2. All right, it says, and we're going to go down to verse 3. Habakkuk 2 and 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. That's right, man, because back then, the people, the Israelites were reading these scriptures and, whoever read these scriptures, they didn't understand it back then, right? But it was sealed for an appointed time, right? But at the end, it will speak. So now these scriptures are jumping off the pages because we're at the end. Now we understand what it means because we're seeing it clearly, okay? The whole thing where it says a mark will be made mandatory for buying and selling. Okay, these marks are here. Okay, the infrastructure for these marks are here. The government that's going to support these marks is definitely here, man. If it was up to them, they'd have you people tied up to a hamster wheel working for 1 penny an hour, man. You know what type of people that are ruling this world, man, and the way that they think. Okay, and all this stuff is here, and they're moving in that direction. I made a whole video about that yesterday. Y'all could watch that video too, so I don't have to make this video 10 hours long. But, all this stuff is connecting, man. All right? But with that, we're going to continue here. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 4. Right? Salakia. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up in him. Salakia. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Right? These so-called white people, these dead-eyed weirdos, their soul is not upright, right? They have a perverse spirit on them. And you can see by the way that they push Moism across the whole world, telling you that it's okay for a man and a man to be together, pushing that on people, pushing that on the children in the schools, all right? All these different lies you see on the news, all right? I could go on and on, man, but we don't want to say too much here. Okay? And that's not, of course, we tell the 100% truth, but certain words, certain words you can't say, and to sit here for an hour trying to think of another word to call it, it's a waste of everybody's time because we've gone over this stuff before, man. But anyway, the just will live by his faith, right? Because we don't have riches. We don't have, a silver spoon. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, right? That's those wicked philosophies that I just mentioned. He is a proud man, right? He's proud, pursuing Obadiah chapter 1. Neither keepeth at home, right? He doesn't keep at home because why? Because he goes across the world to invade these other countries and steal lands from them. Okay, just like they did to us. They sailed across the ocean and stole this land from the natives and oppressed the natives and the so-called blacks, all right? Who enlargeth his desire is hell, right? These devils are never satisfied. That's why the economy, you could see a good example of that is this economy today. These Edomites, they jacking the rent all the way up, okay? The cost of living all the way up, your wages all the way down. And then they want to do all these meetings at work talking about you got to be motivated. You got to come in here and give 110%. You got to live and breathe this job, right? And then you got to go to your other job after that because that one job's not enough to pay rent. You see, these devils are never fucking satisfied until they squeeze every last drop of energy out of you people. You see? And is as death, right? He's as death, man. Look at all the shit he's pushing on the earth. All these GMO plants, the air, the water being poisoned. Who's doing that, man? Us so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians are not doing this bullshit. The Chinese are not doing it. The Japanese are not doing it. It's these so-called white people who rule the world. They rule the world, and everybody's trying to compete in his system. You see? And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Right. They got oil here in America, but they rather go steal it from somewhere else. You see? And then we'll get one more, and then we'll close out, Lord's will. Micah 2 and 2. Let's get that. This is Micah 2. And verse 1. Woe to them who devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Right. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, so it's in the power of their hand to do what? To do evil. They could do whatever they want. The world is theirs. You know, they have the power to do it. And every night when they sleeping, when they going to bed, they thinking about how to fuck Jake up, man. You know, they got our people in a retarded state. All these YNs out here shooting each other up. All right, who's putting the drugs in the hoods? Right? Just like this devil forges everything, he could easily do that. He's been doing that. You know? Who owns these rappers, these small hats, the so-called JE double ooze? You see what I'm saying? You know who I'm talking about. We can't say who they are, but you know who we're talking about. They own these fucking rappers, man. You know, they're pushing all these wicked things on our people. Okay, that's all they think about. And woe means destruction, so the Lord is going to destroy them at the end of the day, man. These Edomites are not going to rule forever. All right? Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, right? A field is a land. They going over there, they stealing different lands, they stealing resources, right? They covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. This is what they did to us, the Israelites, man. And this is what they do when they go over there to the Middle East and all these other countries. They steal shit. They act like they trying to help everybody, but at the end, it's all a lie. It's a forgery, man. These Edomites are forgers of lies. All right? Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, behold, against this family, right? It's talking about these Edomites, this family, because family goes into nation or people, and really it's going into these international banking families too. It says, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, right? Which the international bankers are Edomites. Okay. But anyway, do I devise an evil, right? The Lord devises an evil against them, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil, right? You're not going to be all proud forever, because the Lord is going to take these Edomites down, man. The Lord is going to punish Esau with slavery and fire, you know, for all the violent stealing of lands and houses they did to our people, right? And all the wickedness he's spreading around the whole world, man, keeping our people in captivity, all right? You know, they know that we're the Israelites. They know we're the sons of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And instead of letting us rule, you know, they want to rule over us because they got that blessing right now. All right? But, you know, hey, this thing is coming to an end, man. You know, the Lord, like it says in the scriptures, he cometh with clouds, and every eye will see him, and all nations will mourn because of him, right? These nations know their time is up. All right? And that's why they're moving fast with these agendas, man. They were moving with these agendas back then, you know, in 2001, and now they're moving even faster. You saw that article I just posted, how Vietnam, you know, deleted 86 million bank accounts, you know, and there's only 200 million people in Vietnam. So you do the math, man. That's the majority of the, not the majority, but that's a lot. That's a lot of the bank accounts over there, man. So, hey, this devil is moving quick, man. But our Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai will destroy him. All right. So with that, I pray this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect, giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKodash. Double honor to the elders and apostles, a great millstone that taught us his truth. Shalom wa, abad babal. Shalom.